as we and our coalition partners are doing in Afghanistan, we will bring to the Iraqi people food and medicines and supplies and freedom.
So I believe that this is a fight for freedom. And I want to make it a fight for justice too.
We have shown freedom's power. And in this great conflict, my fellow Americans, we will see freedom's victory.
Origen, the church fathers even used to say it in the 3rd century AD. You yourself are even another little world and have within you the sun, the moon, and also the stars. You have to be a self, don't you, to even have a relationship with anything. If you're an ego, you're a fractured being, like I've been describing. The ghost is nothing more than the ego is nothing more than the ghost that has arisen from the grave of the self. But it's been there before us all along. In Corinthians it says, you are the temple of God, for the temple of God is holy, which temple you are. Acts, in the New Testament, the Most High dwells not in temples made with hands. And from the Gospel of Thomas, from John, the words of Jesus himself, the works I do, you can do, and greater. The teacher is telling you, hey, what I do is pretty cool, huh? You can beat it. You can do even more than that. How come we weren't taught this in Sunday school? How come our parents are not telling us that we're Christ's walking on the earth?
Like questioning where we are going. And where we are going.
This is religion. When you know yourselves, and then you will be known. And you will know that you are the sons of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, then you are in poverty. And you are poverty.
We're experiencing now, but we have to now consist of the moment of this point in time, and then any moment in time that you create from that moment in time that you originally had that idea. Microscopic, idea of perception.
But it is also something much more than that. It is literally the Holy Spirit that they've been talking about, entering into the world and into the hearts and minds of men. They've been telling us for a long, long time. Now the Spirit was the self was the original Holy Spirit. The return to self means the end of dependency of all kinds. Now that you know this, you can see that the selfless person, or the ego-based person, is in big trouble. Now the marriage with oneself is always and necessarily followed by a reciprocal divorce from all that is not the self. It's very important.
It's really hard to see within this conscious moment that we are in, because we are so involved in the past moment, or maybe the future moment, and we're not involved in the conscious creation that we are creating now. What does a fish do? It swims through the ocean. Does it know when it's going to die? Nah, probably not. Does it know when it's going to be born? Nah, probably not. But after it is created, it still swims. And that's all that we're doing.
Of Thomas, the teacher, Jesus is saying, he who blasphemes against the Father, and this is known to Christians, but he says, he who blasphemes against the Father will be forgiven, and he who blasphemes against the Son will also be forgiven. But he who blasphemes against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven, either on earth or in heaven. This is a well-known statement to Christians. And then they're shivering in fear, going, okay, it's a sin. It's a certain sin. If I sin, I'll be forgiven by God, and I'll be forgiven by the Son of God, Jesus. But what the hell is this Holy Spirit bit? And they leave you hanging. Well, it's nothing more than sinning against yourself, in exactly the ways that I've been describing. A violation to the Holy Spirit, how can it be forgiven by any other agency when you're doing it to your own self? There is no greater crime. Because you're out of touch with God. If you have no selfhood, forget even being in touch with God. And the Son, forget it. These are just expressions of something.
It is time, and we are pulling back the rug, and we're actually seeing all the dust that has gathered underneath the rug. And so it's going to be a fairly big effort on humanity and people like yourselves, stepping up and speaking your mind, and not going off of this, being an individual. and not being part of the group. And this is not rebellious in any form, it's just recognizing the other parts of your mind. Quote by Alan Watts. We seldom realize, for example, that our most private thoughts and emotions are not actually our own, for we think in terms of languages and images which we did not invent, but were given to us by society. We copy emotional reaction from our parents and the people we know growing up. Society is our extended mind and body.
The eagle crosses the sky. It doesn't even leave a trail to tell you it was there. The clouds exist without consciousness. They don't wind themselves up in the morning and go, oh God, got to get up and pass the heavens for these monks to look beautiful. But they're there, aren't they? But are they doing anything? They're not a verb. That each moment that passes changes you. You cannot even own yourself. How can you ever hope to own anyone or anything else? You're passing through. You're in this moment. You must be in the now as a selfhood.
Because we got so much cleaning to do, swooping up, I guess. Like, we've been swooping all this dust underneath the rug for thousands and thousands of years, or hundreds and hundreds of years, or whichever, just a small speck of time in the actual grand scheme of it. We are insane because we exist in a disillusioned environment, entity, and we base our thoughts on this disillusion. And what I mean by that is the five senses, the mechanism of the brain, the mechanism of seeing and feeling and understanding that this is all we existed. So that, in general, makes us insane. Constraints that we have brought into the existence that we exist in now. So it's just that. And insane is basically someone who is outside of those constraints, and so therefore the general population view them as insane. And it's not insane in any sense. It's just a different way of perceiving the reality. And yes, they might get hit by a car. Yes, they might die because they do not recognize the reality around them.
And they're all dancing and just, it's the end of the world. And through this incredible scene of just insanity is Lucy. Lucy is the light. And she's the only sane one. And she's walking through them all and saying, but I know the reason for all this. I know I can teach you the reason for all of this. And nobody's listening. The sane person amongst the insane. The light amongst them.
We want to create more. And want to create, whether it's a pattern of blogging every day or a pattern of waking up every day. Or create. Just do what you gotta do to speak your truth.
Shall dwell in peace. Right? He's saying those who are earthed will live in peace. Not those who are dreaming about Flash Gordons and other nonsense and religious bogeymen in the sky. There being no more rebel. See? No more rebel. Because rebellion is only one side of the coin. So no more rebel. Nobody living in contradistinction to the natural order from henceforth. No name of sin. See? No cruelty to the self. Sin is nothing more than cruelty to others and cruelty to yourself. No name of sin shall be uttered again. The rich ones of light shall rejoice on every side without any grief.